What's up, people? This is your boy Elijah. Welcome back to another edition of Humble Dad, episode 68, Road to 100 before 2021. If you know any dads that are interested in being a part of the podcast, please direct them to humbledad78 at gmail.com. Today, we got a special guest. The beautiful thing about this is that we've met before, but we don't know when we met, right? And so we were introduced again recently at a Man Up event, and we share some similarities in the fact that we lost our spouse, as well as we have kids and we're dads, and so we're going to talk about that, and hopefully we can help each other and help others. And so I welcome to the stage none other than Mr. Darin Rickelson. Did I say that right?
Rickelson, yes.
Rickelson. All right. Thanks, Darin, for being here. How's it going?
Good. I'm excited to be here.
That's good. So we're going to get right off into it. So what would you say is the difference between a dad and a father?
I think the biggest difference is being present and always being there for your child. I think that's the biggest thing.
Is that the dad or is that the father? Which one would you say represents that well to you?
I think that's more the father.
Okay. All right. Why do you say?
Well, because I think a dad can just be, you can be a dad, but I think to be a true father, you've got to be present and plugged into your child's everyday life.
So let's take it back to when you were a kid. Talk to us about, if you had a father or a dad or a father figure or a dad figure in your life, and what was that like?
I did. I mean, he was a pretty good father. We didn't want for much growing up, but there was, he had his issues and whatever. But generally, my childhood growing up was pretty
good. What would you consider good? Because everybody has a different perspective
of
what good is.
He was coach of the baseball teams. We did that. Football teams, he was always the coach, and I did the same thing with my daughter. We went on vacations. He was always there. He helped with after school stuff, all the athletic things that we wanted to do. He was always there for that, basketball, all of that stuff. He was always the coach, which is kind of fun.
So did y'all play against each other?
Probably a little bit, like with the basketball, a little bit. It didn't take too long to get better than him when he got a little bit older. But, football and stuff, we'd wrestle or whatever. I have a brother that's 11 and a half months older than me. So it was always the two of us against him or something like that.
Okay. So when did you, what age was it when you was able to beat your dad?
I'd say at basketball, probably somewhere around maybe 12, 13. You start really shooting the ball and don't dribble. Yeah.
Wow. Were you taller than him at this time, or you just more skilled?
So I'm pretty tall. So
yeah,
I was maybe not quite his height then. I'm not sure, but he was a little heavier set, so it was a little easier to get around him dribbling the
ball. Have you ever told him that?
I don't think I have to.
Okay.
he knows that.
For sure. So when you was growing up, so talk to me about what type of kid you were, probably about from kindergarten through middle school. Not kindergarten, but like, the intermediary type years.
I was a good kid. I enjoyed track and field was probably my sport of choice. I was really fast.
Okay.
So he helped train me with that or whatever.
Yeah.
In the 6th grade, I was in 3 schools in 3 cities. Moved from Oklahoma to Memphis to Dallas in the same school year. It's actually the move to Dallas was actually a good move. My dad got transferred to Dallas. Could have waited for the school year to end in Memphis, but we decided to get involved in the school year here in April so that we could start playing baseball for the summer, get involved in a baseball team. And that was probably the best thing we did, because then I had instant friends and stuff from the get-go when we moved here.
Yeah, that's cool. What grade did you say that was?
That was sixth grade. Yeah, sixth grade.
Okay. So in eighth no, let's see, in seventh grade, I got kicked out of school because of some stuff I had did or said, and I had to move to a different school, or basically the school that was in my actual district. And I think it may have been around April when I had to transfer. It was like the last 6 weeks, I think, you know, and it was a challenge of an adjustment. But definitely when I got to eighth grade, I knew people, as opposed to being new at the top of eighth grade, So because I had never had friends longer than the school year, because I went to a different school from kindergarten to eighth grade. And so when you said transferring within the school, within the school year. I've never done that, but every year I was at a different school. So I didn't
Wow,
have any friends. Yeah, that was the
that's
first time that
tough.
I stayed. Yeah, the first time I stayed at a school, it was not into high school. So that was an interesting transition. But I think it also kind of helped me. Some of the things that are tough, they kind of help you at times. And so, what are some tough times that you would say that you had growing up, but then your dad was able to kind of help you with those things?
Definitely that move in sixth grade. I mean, he was there to help um, make that transition smoother for us. I think,
Hmm.
it also helped that we weren't happy in Memphis either, and so when you get to move to a new location after if you're in a spot where you're not happy, then that is something you want to do. So that makes it a little
Yeah,
bit easier.
yeah. So, what did he do that made it
Um,
helpful?
he was just involved with us with the baseball team.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so he helped coach the baseball team, and that and then when they're in sixth grade, that's a pretty formative year. A little tough through
Mhm.
school, right through there, and you know, my dad was always the fun dad. Mom had to do the discipline or whatever. Um, dad had to enforce the discipline that mom wanted to put on us. I remember growing up, um, my dad coming in wanting to spank us for doing something, both my brother and I,
Yeah.
and with the belt. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so we found out later that it was I guess my mom that had said that we needed to be spanked for whatever. I'm sure it was something bad because we got in trouble
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I was between me and my brother, I was the first one to jump. I said, I'll take it first. I want to
Okay.
let's just do it and get it over with.
Yeah.
And my brother would go second. He's my
Yeah.
older brother. So,
Yeah,
but
my son is like that. Yeah.
my dad said he never wanted to spank us, but he that I can't. It's not like that was often. It's not terribly often, but I'm sure we deserved it. I can't remember
Yeah.
what
Right.
those were specifically for, but if
Yeah.
we deserved it for something for sure.
For sure. For sure. So as you get older into high school, um, like walk me through some scenarios of what you learned from your dad during that particular point in your life.
I'd say probably the single thing that always resonates in my head from my dad is follow the money. Which, if
Hmm.
there's any situation where you're trying to figure out what's going wrong, or um, maybe in today's society where you've got people doing whatever politically or whatever, follow the
Yeah.
money trail, and that
Yeah.
usually gets you to the right answer. And I think
Mm.
that's pretty close to accurate.
Yeah. That's really good advice. Like, what was there something going on that made him tell you that?
It was just, I mean, it was a something that resonates from my whole childhood. Different situations would come up or whatever, or I can't think of anything specifically off the top of my head, but
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, follow the money, follow the money. The other thing that he taught, my dad was always involved. He was a stockbroker, so he was
Okay.
always involved in that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and so he taught us about investing and making money and doing things like with the investments.
Oh, that's good. So how has that helped you as you've moved on and become an adult, and then now you're doing whatever you're doing?
Well, I do the opposite of what he does now.
What?
Yeah, he's a commodity broker. So he would always
Okay.
take risk on commodity futures and things like that. Well,
Okay.
I don't do it that way. I'm more slow and steady as the race. Vanguard, low cost mutual funds, index funds, things like that. Because
Okay.
it didn't really work out so well from what I saw, to be honest.
I understand. So then, as you get into adulthood, what you meet your wife, or I don't know if you met your wife then had a kid or had a kid then met your wife. Kind of talk to us about the transitions to your first kid, or do
So
you have more than one? I don't even know if you have
I
more.
just have one kid. So going
Okay.
through college, so I'll back up a little bit on that. Going through college, my dad would come down to, I went to UT, and my dad would come down and party with us. My mom and dad got a divorce after I went to college.
Oh
And so he
wow.
would come
Okay.
down and party with us, and we would, head back up to Dallas for the Texas OU game. There'd always be a keg party involved with him and his friends or whatever. I mean, I remember one year I think the game went into overtime or something. We get home and he's got him and three buddies already drank like a quarter of the keg.
Wow.
So yeah, and then we always did stuff over at his condo.
Hmm.
I always went over there to watch football games. So we'd watch the
Mm.
UT game every weekend. I'd go over there. Even after I got married with my wife, I'd still do that. So this is in the late '90s. I'd always go over to his place on Saturdays and watch the game and drink beer and have a cigar every once in a while. And that was a lot of fun.
That's good. Where you get your cigars from? Like I've been looking for one of those.
I haven't smoked a cigar in probably 15 years, but
Listen, hey,
Total Wine has
the
a nice humidor inside their
oh,
place.
okay, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Okay, cool. Thanks for the shout out. Okay, so then when did you meet your wife?
I met my wife in '97, and we were
Okay.
married in '99, and then my daughter was born in 2002.
Oh, okay. So she's like 18, 19.
She's 19 going on 20 here in the spring.
Okay, 19 going on 20. Okay, so walk me back to the first time that you heard that you was about to have a kid.
Yeah, so my daughter's a little bit of a miracle child because my wife had rheumatoid arthritis. And so she had to get off some medicines that were known birth defect type medicines.
Oh, wow.
So pretty scary for her. The medicines were working for her arthritis. But she wanted to have a child. So we got off the medicine and she got off the medicine and we were trying for a while. And, we felt a sense of urgency because we wanted to get back on the medicine. So we ended up doing in vitro fertilization. The company she worked for had that covered under their insurance
Oh,
plan. So we ended
wow.
up doing that and it took the first time. And so it was
Wow.
shortly after 9/11 that shortly before 9/11 that we found out that Emily was coming. So my wife called me at work and that was just the greatest day to hear that news that she was pregnant. There she's waiting for the call and the phone rings from the in vitro place and
Yeah.
it's just that was just really great news. And then 9/11 happens and it's just like you know crazy from there and your whole world's shaken with that event.
Right.
So she's part of the post 9/11 boom.
Okay.
So a lot of
Yeah.
people after 9/11 decided they wanted to have kids and get pregnant. So there's a little bit of a boom
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I think I remember that. So then you hear the news, y'all go through was it was the process pretty successful, or did y'all have complications, or it was pretty good?
Nope, pretty good. So my wife had started a new medicine that she was on.
Okay.
Uh, They told us it was safe to be pregnant with that, but we didn't want to breastfeed after that because you just didn't know. So we didn't do
Yeah,
that. But healthy baby girl, and Emily was, the pride and joy of our family for sure.
that's cool. When I would, for me and Jen, we when we had lost three, uh, you know, two before we was married, and then one when
Oh,
we were married, and we thought that we was just not going to be able to have one. And she had because one of them was a tubal pregnancy, and so they had to take one of her ovaries, and so
mm,
she was only down to one. So she was definitely we were definitely concerned that it may not happen. And so the news, I can't remember the year, but Gianna was born in 2009, and so it was probably somewhere in 2008 or something like that. And when I got the news that she was pregnant, I was nervous, right? Because we had lost three prior, and I was like, I don't know if I
yeah,
should be excited. And not until like month three, where the
yeah,
doctor was saying, "Yeah, we're good," did I get excited, you know. And then and so we started looking for names. Um, well, we was looking for names, and being the man, I thought I was gonna name my first child. That was the ego in me. And then Jeff had listened on the radio, and there was this lady that had survived an abortion, and her name was Gianna. Her grandmother had named her Gianna because it's Italian for the Lord is gracious. And so we felt like God had been gracious to us to provide us with a kid, after losing three, and
yeah,
so that day that she was born was like, uh, for one, the Lakers had won the championship because I was a Kobe Bryant fan. I think it was on that same Friday, and then she was born that Friday, and I had a bittersweet moment because I didn't grow up with a dad, and so in my mind, I'm like, I'm holding her, and I'm thinking, how could he have possibly left this, you know,
yeah,
and also being excited about it at the same time. So it was a interesting moment, and so since then, we have four kids, 12, 10, 7, and 3. And so I've been trying to you know carry on the torch, if you will. you know
yeah.
so so when did you mm, so when would you say was your best moment as a dad thus far as like having to teach something or sharing a moment with Emily?
Best one. That's tough.
Okay, we'll
You know,
go with
the
a fun moment because it's a lot of best is hard. Give me a fun moment that you remember.
So one of the best fun moments, there's lots of them, but when my daughter was in high school, she was part of the marching band. She was in the color guard. And
Okay.
in the color guard, when the marching band season ends in the fall, in the winter, they do something called winter guard. So it's
Okay.
a show on a gym floor with a theme and music and choreography and costumes. So we're going to Dayton for the championships. They're in Dayton, Ohio. And I had a fat head of my daughter, which was kind of the laughing thing amongst the team. They, one night at practice, they're getting ready to start their final run, and I'm there watching, and I break out this fat head of her, and everybody just starts laughing, and it's so funny. Well, we're all going to Dayton, and so we've taken over the plane. It's 40 some girls, 50 girls, and parents and whatever. So we're all on this plane, and I'm sitting on one side of the aisle. My wife is sitting on the other side, and they're about to come on the plane because we got on first. And I was like, oh, I said, oh, I should take out the fat head when she comes down the aisle. And so she's about two-thirds of the way back, and all the girls are coming down and they're laughing, and then my daughter gets there and she's, laughing. She thinks it's funny.
Oh, what you did?
I mean, it was
Okay,
just
good.
because it got to be where I was able to be the cool dad. So
Okay.
her freshman year in high school, it was like she didn't really know if she wanted me around doing all the stuff, you know. It's like you're but then when her friends thought, hey, your dad's pretty cool, then it was like, all right, you can hang around. And so then I just hung around with the band and the color guard and helped out. I moved props with the band and helped with whatever I could with the winter guard shows and do whatever we could do. And, you know, just that's what I meant when I said, you know, you get plugged into your child. And, you know, with her being an only child, it's easier to do that, I think, than if you have, you know, other young ones behind that, right? You can't do everything with the older child. So, but I was able to do that. And, you know, those 4 years of high school, that was the best of times. And we did, you know, so everybody knew who I was. I'm pretty recognizable. So they're like, oh, you're Ricky's dad. So my daughter's name's Emily, but that's a pretty common name. And so they had to give her a nickname. So her freshman year, oh, your last name's Rickelson, we'll call you Ricky. And so she's known as Ricky through the high school.
That's cool. Okay, so what was what did you learn about yourself during her high school years?
You know, I learned that it's good to give back. You know, it's all volunteer stuff with the band. You know, it's to help the band and whatever activity your child is in. It's always good to give back. It feels good. You're helping this team or this group or whatever. That was really cool.
Yeah, that is. I haven't heard anybody talk about that being that invested in their child's life, as far as like being at the school and helping set up. I think that's pretty commendable.
Well, so it was, you know, there aren't a lot of dads that do that, right?
Right.
Mainly because of, I think, logistics. You know, I was able to, I work from home, so I adjusted my schedule to end my work day at 4:30 instead of 5 or 5:30, and then I go out and help with the band. And so I was out there every day, and because I could most days, because I could be. I didn't have a 45-minute commute, and then other kids at home, or you know, my wife was here, but we would work around that schedule. I go and practice with her to practice until 6 or 7 o'clock, and then we come home and we'd eat and do all of that.
Wow. That's really cool. What did your daughter, has she talked to you about the experience of her being in high school and you being there?
You know, I don't know if it's been a direct conversation. I think I know she completely enjoyed it. She loved the attention that she got because of the fat head and things like that. You know, there were limitations to the fat head. I couldn't really use it in the marching band part of the year. I could only use it during the winter guard part of the year. But it was, you know, it was I think she enjoyed every minute of that. And, you know, I think she loved high school and she loved the color guard. And, you know, she rose from being, I remember her coming home from tryouts before her freshman year, and she was showing us the routine that she had to learn. And my wife and I are out there in the driveway, and she had a real hard time catching the flag or doing whatever. And my wife and I walk in and we both said to each other, said, she's going to get cut. She ain't going to make it. So because my wife was real big on her getting involved in something in this, you know, get involved in some school activity so you can have friends and whatever. My wife was in the color guard as well, so that helped kind of bridge that. And so we said she ain't gonna make it, and she was captain her senior year. So it made her.
Well, I guess that told y'all.
That band program did so much for her. It made her grow as an individual. After my wife passed away, we set up a scholarship in her honor for a graduating senior. And there's lots of scholarships that the band gives, you know, to people, but this scholarship is different. It's not how well you play your horn or how well you flip a flag or anything like that. we wanted to do something in honor of my wife, which she was a volunteer and she did the best she could volunteering.
Yeah.
And she was always a warm, welcoming smile when you walked into that place. People may not have known her name, but they felt welcomed when you talked to her. And
Wow.
so we wanted to give a scholarship to a graduating senior that exemplified those characteristics. So for a kid in high school, it would be like a senior or junior helping a freshman, their first year, helping them find their way and guiding them and doing the right thing and going above and beyond and just having that warm, welcoming smile into the band program for a freshman.
That's cool.
So yeah, I've got that scholarship set up and it's, I've got it funded in perpetuity. So that'll be a neat little thing to do for everybody, for anybody can apply for that particular scholarship. And it's about who you are as a person. And, my wife was the best. She was just the sweetest person. And, so each person that gets this award will follow those characteristics.
That's really cool. I want to ask you about that. So, because I was trying to think about how could I honor Jen, and because she was a homeschool mom, and so that kind of resonated with me, in what you was talking about. That, and I was thinking about scholarship, but I didn't know how to go about it. Like, so how did you go about putting it together and then being able to get those people to know that they can apply uh, for the scholarship?
Yeah. So my original thought was just to write a check to the band boosters when they give out their scholarship each year to all the
Yeah.
kids. And we ended up deciding to formalize it a little bit more. So you would be so just every graduating senior would get something if you applied. You have to write an essay to apply for a band scholarship.
Okay.
But you'd be surprised how many wouldn't do that. Out of 50 or 60 graduating seniors, there might be 35 or 40 that would apply.
Okay.
You're going to get something if you just write the essay. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so this one we decided to add, since it's not about playing an instrument or anything, we decided to add a little extra component. The band directors decided to add, just an extra 100 words about why you think this particular scholarship, why you think you should win this particular scholarship.
Mm.
So talk about, you needed to explain, what have you done to help other kids in this band program?
Mm.
And so I do send the check every year to the band boosters, and then they funnel it through the scholarship program. So they don't just give you a check, right? When you get it, like my daughter got some scholarships through it, and she's going to North Texas, and so they
Mhm.
send the money through to North Texas or to whatever school you're doing. They already know how to do all that, so it makes it easier that way.
I'm just writing that down.
Okay.
That's and trying to find. I know who I can talk to find out who I could give the money to start that scholarship. That because that's a really good idea because it helps someone else and also at the same time
Yeah.
your wife's name lives on right in that
Yeah.
regard for others, and then people are also able to know what type of person your wife was,
Yeah.
which is
So the
which
award
is
has
cool.
got kind of a unique name. It's the Amanda Rickelson Memorial Heart Award and Scholarship. And
Mm.
so the heart being that, just a sweet, kind person. And um, so really, really touching. So it's perfect.
That's really good. So as you have so when your wife passed, how that was the last year, so that means that Emily was 18. So how have you been able to father or be kind of be there for your daughter now? Like what's the relationship that you currently have?
I mean, we're super tight. We're really tight.
It's okay. I understand, man.
So, that was her senior year. My wife's going through her second bout with breast cancer, and she died on July 1st. So she was live just long enough to see them graduate and walk across the stage. They had delayed the graduation till June.
Wow.
Supposed to be in May. They moved it to July. Then they moved it up to June. And she, I'm in the hospital with her in her last few days, and she was able to see her daughter walk across the stage.
Wow. Well,
So
that's a blessing. Yeah. As a, for me, yeah, I think I'm tight with my kids too. We talk like every day, right? And I already had a somewhat of a, well, I won't say somewhat. I had a relationship with my kids because I was, being present thing is very important. So, the challenge that I had before I became a real estate investor was that I was working two jobs. I was a teacher in middle school, and then I was an adjunct at a college, and then the last 5 years I've been trying to write a dissertation. Right, so I had to figure out when am I going to spend time with my kids, and so what I started doing was not Monday mornings, but every morning we would do Bible study. And so we would get to spend about 25 to 30 minutes every day talking about the word, and that was me connecting with them. And little did I guess, I mean, the whole plan was to build their faith foundation. Little did I know that it would have to be implemented so quickly. And so we would also go to sporting events. I was the one that took them to their practices, when I didn't have to work. And so I was the one that took them to, the games. You have to be there early, right? If you're any extracurricular anything, you have to be there
yeah,
an hour early. So I would be the one that would take them early because I wanted that time to spend with them, and we would have those different conversations about how, as far as the sport or just them as individuals, and that helped prepare the. I would say that was the equity that I was able to have when their mom passed. That there wasn't a moment that I had to figure out how to be their dad or their father. It was already there. And what I had to do as a dad is make sure that I was in step with them emotionally, and making sure that they were okay, you know, um, and that they was grieving, um, if that's what they needed, and so that's true of what you're saying. Being there is so important because one of the things that I had asked my daughter, I was like, how is it that you know you can say that God still exists when He took your mom? You know,
yeah,
just trying to see engage where they are with their faith, right? And she told me, she said, well, I still have you. So to say the part, and that hit me. I was like, okay, as opposed to 3 years prior, maybe four, I don't know, but it was some years prior where she was the same kid that asked me, like, told me that you're never here. She was like, you're never here.
mm,
And so it had always been my mission to make sure that I figured out a way to be close to them. So I appreciate you as a dad, being able to say, okay, yes, this is a hard time, but I'm so glad. Think about you was being able to be there, during those high school years, like that
yeah,
equity that you built there. That once mom passed, you were able to still be there, and she could lean on you, and you can lean on her. You know. So what are some?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so I mean, her, after my wife passed, it's July 1st she passes, and school's starting in August. She's going to
Mm,
college, and I wanted her to go. I didn't want her to stay at home. I didn't want her to, have to do that. I wanted her to go get the best college. That first year living in the dorm is,
mm.
for better for worse. There's parts that are terrible about it, but there's some parts that are really
You got
cool
that
about it.
right. That is true
So
too.
she didn't
It is
quite
definitely
get that.
bittersweet.
It is. She didn't quite get that full experience because of the whole COVID thing, but she made
That's
two really good friends, And had she not gone up there, she would not have made those friends. And now they're
Mm,
all rooming together and in an apartment. And it's just, you know, I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for her meeting them. And they're all three really good kids. And, you know, and I'm not far away. I'm here for her whenever she needs me. I mean, I'm always at the drop of a hat. I'll go up and do whatever she needs me to do.
yeah. So how have you been able to process now being empty nester and with your wife not being there? Like how you being able to process that?
Yeah, so that's, you know, the whole house to yourself. I mean, my wife passes away, and then my daughter leaves the
Yeah, all right.
house in
Yeah.
2 months, and you know, that was pretty shocking to the
Mm,
system initially. But I've also got family that's close, so I would go
okay.
hang out with them. I started doing some more things for me and buying a car and doing stuff like that and playing volleyball in the North Richland Hills Rec League. I enjoy
I
doing
can
that.
see that.
So that takes up some time and you get a little bit more involved in work. You know, work becomes probably a little more important. Might as
Hmm.
well, right? So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's just you know, you think you're not going to be busy enough, but then I'm find myself running out of time to do things. So
Yeah. Right.
I
Right.
started doing yoga and things like that. So, you know, that's a good hour in an evening. And so you know, you look forward to doing those things.
That's good. Charles Barkley said yoga is just an expensive word for stretching.
He's probably right. I want to see him do downward dog
I
though.
know,
I want to see that.
for real. That would be hilarious. So what have you learned about yourself in this process of grieving your wife and then your daughter leaving, and now it's been a year, almost a year and a half. What is
Yeah.
something that you have learned about yourself that you could help somebody such as myself or anybody else?
Um, you know, the grieving process is different for everybody.
Yes, sir.
And
That's a good point to make.
um, it's whatever that process is for you is the right process. Um, you know, I still think about her a lot, but it's, you know, I also live in, to me, there's a lot of black and white to the world. It's either yes or no, and you've got to move on. I mean, I've
Mm,
got to. I can't. I'm not one to stay in that state of melancholy for too long. I can't. You
hmm.
know, you know, the one thing I always marveled about my daughter, and I would tell people because they'd always ask, "How's she doing? How's your daughter?" And I said,
Yeah,
you
they
know,
always ask that question. Yeah.
yeah, because you know, they really want to know. And I said, you know,
Yeah.
Emily's needle always tends to happy. Like she wants to be a happy kid,
Yeah.
and so she was the my rock when that happened. I mean, she was stronger initially than I was.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
leaning on her for strength.
Same here.
Um, I mean, it's amazing. I didn't know she had that in her. And, you know,
Right.
like I was bracing for what might happen with her and just constantly worried about her, but she was stronger than I was. And that's pretty amazing to see. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't
That's a
think,
testament to you and your wife.
I guess, I mean, you know, I
That's what they
just,
tell me, bro. That's what they say it's a testament to you and your wife. And I said, okay. Like I don't know how to
okay.
okay.
I mean, I just would not have thought it would have been like that, but
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing how tough your kids are, I think. It really is.
Yes. Yes, I concur with that absolutely. Several different when I was crying and screaming and in my state of just disarray, my 12-year-old, she would just come and she would just hug me. She would just be right there. She'll cry alongside with me. Just as recently as Saturday, I was asking her how she's doing. She said, "Dad, I'm good. I'm just worried about you." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you agree. She said, "I understand that God has a plan. I just don't know what it is, and I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. Then my son Ethan, he's like, every day is a 10 for me because I know he told me Saturday or Sunday. He said, "I'm good, Dad. God told me that mommy is fine." I said,
Wow.
"What?" I said, "Man, I'm jealous. God talking to you like that?" You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that is amazing that he's 7 and he's hearing that, right? And then Joshua, he's like, "Dad, I just want you to be happy, you know, whatever that is. Yes, I miss mom. I have my moments, and I know how to deal with them. I just sit and I just think about her, or he'll look at a picture, or he'll pray. Like he has a process, for when he has his moments, and then my 3-year old, when I'm crying, she's coming to me and hugging me. The other last night, Darin, this young lady, well, she's a little baby, but she seems like she's so older than that. I was thinking about Jen, and Jordy said, "Are you sad?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of sad." "No, you be happy. No,
Yeah.
you be happy."
If it was only that easy.
I know. But for a 3-year-old to to somewhat, kind of try to minister to you, to pep you up, I was like, how is this possible? So I'm saying, I recognize what you're saying about this resiliency of kids, and so I admire you, because I understand and know what you're going through, and I'm gonna be praying for you consistently. You know what I'm saying? For you to be able to be, an individual that's able to talk to others about it, because that's also another opportunity to talk about your wife, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna lead to the fun questions. You ready?
All right, let's go.
All right. So give me a number between 1 and 45.
Go with do my daughter's age, 19.
Okay. Who taught you how to drive?
I mean, back in that day, you did it through the school, but yeah, probably my dad, probably more than my mom, I think. And I also
And
had two
and
older siblings, so I leaned on them too.
did you? How long did it take you to pass your driver's test?
I passed it on the first go, but I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I was driving a 76 Cadillac Brougham. So this car is probably, I don't know, 40 feet long. I don't know how big it is. I mean, it's
I know
massive.
what you're talking. I know what you're talking
It's a great
about.
car. Still wish I had it.
I know what you're
Lots
talking
of
about.
memories in
Yeah,
that car.
yeah.
76 Cadillac. And yeah,
Golly,
that one, it's tough
did
to
you
parallel
parallel
park
park it?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough to parallel park.
That,
There's no
man, it's
backup
like you
camera.
drive. Yeah, right. It's like you driving a boat, with wheels. that's that's
The
crazy.
ride
Okay,
goes nice and smooth. It's awesome.
all right, give me another number.
Let's go 30.
What was the first band or concert you went to?
First concert. I think it was I went with my sister. I think it was 89. It was Madonna Like a Virgin tour.
What?
Texas
Okay.
Stadium. Level
What? Okay.
42. Level 42 was the intro band. I really liked them.
Did you like them better than Madonna?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but Madonna's show was cool.
That's what's
So I
up. Did
was I guess
she?
I was 17 then,
Oh
17,
wow,
18.
wow, that's cool. So, oh, that was like her. Was that her first album or first single,
Yeah.
Madonna?
That was
Oh,
her first I think that might have been her first tour.
oh wow,
So,
wow. Did you save the
yeah.
ticket?
No. No.
Not at all. Okay,
No.
not at all. All right, give me the last number.
Number 5.
Number 5. If you went back to high school, what would you do differently?
So in high school, I wasn't involved in any athletics or anything in high school.
Really?
I no, yeah, I mean, I was tall, but I was not super coordinated. I wasn't good enough to be on the basketball team or anything. I was decent playing volleyball, but there's no boys volleyball. Still isn't today.
Yeah.
There's no high school boys volleyball.
Crazy.
I know
Crazy.
these girls trying out for the football team. I was like, man, I wish I'd have known that back then. I would have tried out for the girls volleyball team.
100%.
Yeah,
You may start
but
something.
I think if I could do it over again, I would probably get more involved in some program in the school. You know, whether it
Okay.
was athletics or some other thing. I was involved in some stuff, but nothing major. You know, I was more worried about working. I wanted to make money.
Mm.
So, I mean, when I was 15, I started a pizza place. When I was 16, I started driving, delivering pizzas, and that I worked as much as I could so I could make as much
Wow.
money as I could.
That's good stuff. Well, Darin, I appreciate you for answering those questions. We're almost done. For those that are watching, please like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. And then also let us know where you're at. All right. So got two last questions. Second to last question is, which TV dad would you say you have similar characteristics with, past or present?
I think that's a tough one. I guess I'm going to go Modern Family. The
Okay.
jokester dad. I can't remember his name, the character's name on
I
the
don't.
show,
I'm
but
not familiar with Modern Dad, but I would definitely like to hear about it. Kind of give me an
Modern
idea.
Family. I mean, he's just a big joker kid
Okay.
kind of guy. You can tell he's like 10 years old. I mean, I'm constantly told I'm like, you're like 12 years old. I was like, okay, I'm fine with that.
I think is
I'm
he
cool
the
with
one
that.
that tries to be the like the teenager with his teenagers or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's probably a
Okay,
good way to
I
describe it.
think I
Yeah.
may have had a I think I've seen or heard about him or something like that. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what's up. Okay, and the last question is, what would you how would you like to be remembered by your daughter? What would you want her to say about you?
Um, you know, like I've gotten the profile picture I sent you. She sent me that coffee mug. It says best dad ever. And,
Mm,
you know, I want her to remember me as somebody who is always there for her. I'm
yeah,
always in her corner. I tell her I'm always in her corner no matter what.
yeah,
I'll defend her to the end of the earth. And, um, you know, I'm right behind her. I told her I want her to experience life. And, you know, I want to watch and enjoy it with her. I just want to, you know, be there for her whenever she needs me. So, yeah.
that's good stuff. Well, I appreciate you sharing, Darin. That rhymed. Okay, didn't even try to do that.
Mhm.
And, and thank you for your time. And this has been good to get to know you and to
Yeah.
help each other. You know, and you have the floor. You have the last words. What would you like to say before you get out of here?
I think the biggest piece of advice, this is something my dad had, you know, taught me as well, is, you know, have dinner with your kids. It was my dad always like, I don't care which way you're going, what you're doing, but let's sit down and have dinner. And so do that as many days of the week as you can do that. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree.
you know, and not only tell your kids you love them, show them that you love them. Get involved in their life and be there for them and be present, and um, you'll enjoy it. I mean, every year that would, you know, every stage that she would leave, it's like, oh man, I really enjoyed that stage. But then the next one, you're like, oh, I look forward to this. Um, and so it's fun to go through all that. Like being a dad is the best thing on the planet.
100% agree. Well, I appreciate your time, Darin. This has been good, man. And we're gonna talk to y'all later. And so until next time, we out here.
All right.
Deuces.
Thank you very much. I feel honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.